Alrighty. I think I may mess up my prescription. Can't see for shit without tilting my head up for the bifocals. It's a hot mess. I don't really need them for this, do I? Had to cancel my game last night. There's too much going on for everybody, and I wasn't getting a lot of feedback. So I rescheduled. Then I rescheduled because I forgot I had surgery. Then I rescheduled. All within 12 hours. Go on vacation, man. I got bluegrass concerts this week. Chose a different day because, we don't have to be set in stone for the same day every week. If everybody consents, we'll move it back for a one-off on a certain day, and then go back to our regular scheduled day. I got bluegrass concerts this week. We have this thing called Summer Motion. It's a 4th of July thing. It's all week. I got to see free concerts last week. Reverend Horton Heat, Super Suckers. That's an amazing free concert duo. This week, it's going to be bluegrass here in that area. But I wanted to talk about cultural items in your campaign, or introducing new weapons, new items. I'm not one to bow to player agency because they see some weapon or something in a movie and want to adapt it to their orcs. The double axe was stupid in 3, guys. Stupid. Thrycreen polearm was kind of interesting, but when you really analyze and start thinking about it, it was pretty stupid too. But it's a fantasy game. We can get a little weird. I tend to pattern my hobgoblins on Klingons. But I'm not giving them that Blockla thing, because that was stupid. Well, that was stupid too. It's a terrible weapon. But cultural weapons, everybody wants to use two-handed weapons as a dwarf. And it plainly says, no large weapons. You can have two-handed weapons, but they're going to be medium. The battle axe is medium. And where I do cleaving is a property of two-handed weapons in the hand of a martial character. I like it. Relax that cleave. It's a 3E holdover that didn't really exist in the old school until 3rd edition, and people really like it. I always thought it was weird cleaving with daggers and small weapons. Dumb. But my campaign world, my perspective is going to dominate. Okay? I'll listen to suggestions, but not so much. I'll also do war spears for Klingons, my hobgoblins, which is it's a D6 plus 1 spear. It's weird spot between polearm and between spear, right? So it's a 2nd rank weapon that does a tad bit more damage than a spear, but it's not full rank deep. And the only thing about it is it's easily recognizable for what it is. It's a hobgoblin weapon. It's cultural. So if you got it, people assume it's a war trophy. Well, you may be in a league with the hobgoblins. Ooh, race trader. You can't say that word! It's a fantasy game. But anyway, my dwarves, I do a war axe, which is like a dwarven version of a bastard sword. And I tend to make the making of it a lost art. But I got players, and they know I use it in my game, and it's the same as a bastard sword. They start with it. But you say it's an older weapon. Our grandfather had this, but to run out and buy it as a replacement, it's not going to be 15 gold. It's going to be expensive because they're rare, right? And how to make them is tricky because you're making them for 4 foot tall people. So I need to tinker with the damage. I've been doing it as hand axe / battle axe, kind of like the bastard sword, but I probably should tinker with the damage a little more and make it D6 plus 1, D8 plus 1. That way it can be treasured. But right now the D6 and the D8 D8's working, and you just get to use a sword and board, shatter your shield, and then go cleavy. It's very versatile that way in my game. And one player, he really likes it. He doesn't talk about the game much, though. He's busy. I get some debate going on or some conversation, but you take what you can get, guys. And I thought about making a higher damage elven sword, but instead I just made all my elfin equipment. If I put elfin in front of it, it's half weight. It's light and really well made. Little artsy fartsy. That's it. And people go, well, I track encumbrance. So having your weapons all half weight, or your armor half weight, is awesome. But elves are smaller framed than humans. So unless your character is a human character is like frail or a half elf, then that elfin armor ain't going to fit. And once you start making the adjustments where it's not made by an elfin armor or elfin leather worker, it's not going to. You lose all the benefits. All the extra stuff they add on makes it display the same. All right. So if you get in good with the elves and they make you a cultural gift, then yeah, great. It's half weight. Your plate armor is 250 instead of 500. When you're tracking encumbrance, that's huge. Huge. We're making the hobby great again. We got to build a wall and keep out all these undesirables. You don't like it? Kiss my ass. But I added extra stuff in, and I was going to do more work on halfling cooking stuff. But cultural weapons, cultural items, do you work them into your campaign? I know a lot of folks are anti-culture. These new barbarians of the 21st century, I just want to destroy everything and make it a communist enclave where everything's ugly. There's no objective beauty. It's all fucking ugly. It's a projection from what's inside. So, I'm going to bring back the Dwarven War Club, which is a two-handed club, which means you can cleave with this club. It could be a maul or a barbarian maul, but their damage is going to be less, but they are impressive, but they are unwieldy, and the reduced damage is an aspect of you don't get it landed as often. I mean, it looks cool, so it's more of a theatric thing. So a D8 battle axe used two-handed does less damage than a greatsword. It does less damage than most polearms in the old school essentials, right? And I think a lot of the polearm damage is a little over the top. But it's not just one blow, it's a series of blows. So while you're trying to get in underneath the polearm's reach, you're taking nicks and cuts and maybe a devastating blow. It's not one D10 blow, drop one dice, I hit you, he hits me back, It's not that. It's a whole bunch of stuff in the combat round. I slow my games down to describe the effects of weapons after declaration and everything's been resolved. So as it's been resolved, I'm describing it. That's why I want everybody to roll their attacks, and then I'll describe what happened afterwards. All right? And sometimes when characters land a crit or they just do crazy amount of damage to something, I'm like, we really destroy that. You can describe how you kill it. People enjoy that. Some people don't have the imagination for it. All right? So it's always a decapitation. It's always something stupid. Instead of a series of blows, I break both his knees and then crack his hit him between the eyes. That'd be awesome. Crack! As he leans forward, I poke my staff between his eyes, making him go cross-eyed as he dies. Cool. Go. Oh man, my Three Stooges stuff is not on point today. So when it comes to items and other items like jewelry and stuff, I take time to do. Like they've got a crown in one of my games, and you obviously know it's not made by human hands. It's made of coral, on top of a skull cap of gold. I did drop the value in the chat, just to let them know it's really valuable looking. Give a hint that it might be something more than what it is. But there are cultural items that are valued a little bit more than regular items because they look better. The halfling pipe is preferred over the human pipe because they put more time and craft into it. Seems to make the tobacco taste better. The elven equipment is light and artistic. It is half the weight. The dwarven stuff is sturdy and lasts forever. I added another metal in there, not adamantine, but this I call it dwarf iron. And I said if it's dwarf iron, it's indestructible. Period. So one of the guys carries around a dwarf iron dwarf war axe, and it's one of his favorite weapons. It's not magical, but it is indestructible. And it is so rare that it brings attention wherever it goes. When people see it, they go, ooh, he must come from a great clan to have that. I mean, he did recover it from orcs. So probably should be resting in somebody's grandfather's tomb, but it ain't. But they didn't loot the tomb, so it's okay. It's a whole different discussion. And that is a sore spot with some of my guys in my party. The system rewards us for doing this, therefore, so we shouldn't be punished for doing douchey things to our brethren's undespoiled tombs. Okay. Thought you guys like story gaming. Cultural items. I'm going to add in some more. I'm going to add the repeating crossbow in for some D-row. But I'm going to lower the damage. D4 plus 1. With a shittier range. But when they start popping off these crossbows on flying mounts, people are going to be upset. There's going to be a heavy rain of them. Maybe I'll throw in a magical one or two. Do I make those quarrels the same for the regular crossbows? Because then they won't be able to use them. Right? If they make them specifically for the repeating crossbow, then they won't work in the dwarven crossbows. It'll be too small. Damage won't be right? I guess I could say it's -2 to hit and still does 2 D4 plus 1 damage. It doesn't do your full D6 a shot like your regular crossbows do. And I avoided the light crossbow versus heavy crossbow, but I'm going to put in the small hand crossbows if they ever do encounter drow. It's a thing they do. And the D-row repeating crossbow. And the same for the underwater crossbow. D4 plus 1. I need to do some reading on the nets, though. I need to read up on nets and how I'm going to make those function for old school essentials. I've never been a huge fan of netting, but it is a solid tactic. I'm trying to remember any other cultural weapons I've been throwing in. One of our clerics is carrying around a magical obsidian mace that is a replica of the Wand of Orcus. They did crap their pants when they saw that. I described it just using the description from the old DMG. And I scribbled down, and they were like, wait a minute. And he cast Finger of Death. So they were thinking he was Fingering of Death with the artifact. Like, no! They stayed and fought, though. We did lose 2 characters that fight. It was pretty rough. What other cultural weapons have I done? I don't really do bastard swords that much. I probably should, but I don't. But that current campaign is not human-centric. It's dwarf-centric. So they're finding stuff that the orcs and they have, and the orcs all use as battle axes, and they've never really evolved it past that. So crushing, cleaving weapons is what the Death Fists do. When they get down to have to fight some D-row and stuff, then I'm going to introduce a lot more daggers, short swords, and repeating crossbows. Because that's the weapons they use. So when you're fighting a foe, and if I find it weird that everything they have are human weapons that they've got over the years, they should be cultural weapons from that particular culture, and they should be a little different. And your characters can go, I'm going to go full in. And I need to drop in a few more magical daggers here and there because magical daggers are the most common magical weapon, strangely enough. And you don't see a lot of magical, these guys have really overlooked a lot of magical missiles. Oopsie. But with humanoid tribes, you got certain common weapons. thrown weapons will be common because they're more of a primitive top species. So lots of javies and stuff like that. But for the PC races, I'll also do a halfling warsling. It's a D6 damage split, which is pretty awesome. Especially the way I do fighter options, you can do the bouncy thing. And I think I have one guy doing that in one of my games. He does the ricochet like the warslinger. Because I really like the warslinger class from 3E. That was a really good one. It's inspired me to do stuff like that with the halflings. Halflings are more of ambush skirmisher top fighters. Humans are straight in your face, all around good fighters. Dwarves are tanky fighters. And then your half-orc tend to be your savage fighters. And then your humans also have your barbaric savage fighters and stuff. I do restrict dual weapons. Gotta have a 13 dex to do it. Gotta be dexterous to attack with 2 weapons. -2, -4. I don't offset due to high dex. -2, -4. Start adding your pluses in. That's it. Getting an extra attacking around. That's the blessing, right? You're forfeiting that shatter your shield and cleave. You can do a medium and a small. Now with the orcs, the Death Fist, they have magical items that let them dual wield medium-sized weapons, which they were dual wielding double battle axes. That's a nice trope, and it was on paper kind of fearsome, but they really rolled over those Death Fist orcs. They rolled over them. And the party does have a few magical weapons from that chief. Elfin longsword, half weight and magical. And then the battle axe. Pretty handy. Pretty handy. I used to do dwarf plate armor, which was AC2, little stove, super thick armor pads and stuff. I don't think I've done that in a while. I may do it. I do dwarf chain, which is a heavy suited chain, and it's AC3 or 4 or 3. I gotta double check my notes. And it's chainmail, which is like a super heavy chain shirt, stuff like that. Yeah, I should really double check my notes. I had some more stuff that I've introduced over the years for cultural weapons. And these cultural weapons in the hands of other races affects your reaction roll. They assume you took it from a tomb. People assume the worst most of the time, right? Unless you're known by reputation to be a friend and ally of that. Oh, elf friend, I see you have elfin armor. Crafted for you by the greatest elfin smiths for great deeds, I suppose? Yeah, or whatever. But this is part of customizing your worlds, customizing your races, customizing to your play styles of your players and stuff. Yeah. Not feeling very talky here lately. Just tired. Maybe something will irritate me and I'll rant. I haven't seen Tiefling art, but I know they're going to go super tranny on it or something. They can't help themselves. But anyway, game well, game often. Get your game on, guys.